Today, we're going to tell you a story. It's a really important one about one of our planet's greatest natural gifts, a living, breathing system that, honestly, supports all of us. But, like any good story, it's got some conflict. This is the story of our forests, a resource that's absolutely vital, but one that is in some serious trouble.
So here's how we're going to walk through this. First, we'll talk about what we even mean by our planet's natural gifts. Then, we're going to meet the hero of our story, the forest. After that, we'll get into the tough stuff, how progress can demand a really heavy price. And that leads us to how we can start fighting back for nature. We'll wrap things up on a much brighter note with what's called a festival of hope.
All right, so every story has a setting, right? A world it takes place in. To really understand this one, we first need to get a handle on the basic building blocks of life on our planet, its natural gifts.
At its very core, a natural resource is just, something from our environment that we use. I mean, think about your days so far. The water you drank, the air you're breathing right now, the food you ate. It all comes from nature. Heck, even the device you're watching this on is a product of natural resources. We're talking the metals and minerals mined from the earth, the fossil fuels that made the plastic and powered the factory. They are, and this is not an exaggeration, the foundation of our entire existence.
Now, here's the deal. Not all resources are created equal. They basically fall into two big buckets. On one side, you've got your renewable resources. These are things like plants, solar power, and wind, stuff that can grow back or be naturally replenished pretty quickly. But on the other side, you have non-renewable resources. Think coal, oil, and metals. These were formed over millions of years, and there's only so much of them. Once we use them up, they are gone. For good. Understanding this difference is absolutely crucial to getting a grip on our environmental challenges.
Okay, so with that foundation in place, we can now turn our focus to the protagonist of our story, one of the most important renewable resources on the entire planet, the forest.
So what exactly is a forest? I mean, it's way more than just a bunch of trees, right? I love this definition here. It calls a forest a biotic community. That's such a great way to put it. It's this complex, interconnected web of living things, from the tallest trees down to the tiniest microbes in the dirt, all working together. The word itself is pretty cool too, coming from the Latin word foris, which means outside. A world that exists outside our towns and cities.
So what does this vital ally actually do for us? Well, its job description is just immense. Ecologically speaking, forests produce the very oxygen we need to breathe. They act as the planet's lungs, literally inhaling carbon dioxide, a major greenhouse gas, and helping to fight global warming. The roots hold the soil in place, which prevents terrible erosion and landslides. They even help regulate the water cycle, influencing rainfall patterns. And of course, they are a home for millions of species, which is fundamental to our planet's biodiversity.
And that's just what they do for the planet. Commercially, forests are a total cornerstone of our economy. They provide wood for fuel and building materials. They supply the raw materials for industries that make everything from paper to furniture. But it goes so much deeper than that. They give us things like gums, dyes, resins, and countless medicinal plants. I mean, a huge chunk of modern medicines actually came from compounds that were first discovered in forest plants. Forests are, in pretty much every sense, a provider for humanity. Now, this is where the tension in our story really starts to build. Just look at this number, 21.71%. That's the current reality for forest cover in a country like India. But here's the thing. For a healthy ecological balance, the recommended amount is 33%. That gap you see, the space between what we have and what we need, that's the problem. That deficit is what sets the stage for the whole conflict our forests are facing.
Every story needs a conflict, an antagonist. And for our forests, that conflict is deforestation. This is the part of the story where we have to look at how human progress can, and often does, demand a really heavy price from the natural world.
So what do we actually mean by deforestation? It's pretty straightforward. It's the permanent destruction of forests to make way for something else. It doesn't really matter if it's clearing land for farms, building cities, or mining for minerals. It's the process of removing the forest and fundamentally changing what that land is used for. The pressures are just coming from all sides. As the human population grows, so does our demand for fuel, food, and housing, which leads to overexploitation. And that demand fuels everything else, like huge development projects, dams and highways that just slice through massive forest areas. It drives mining operations to clear land for coal and minerals, and it pushes industries to find more raw materials.
Even things like certain farming practices and overgrazing by cattle contribute to the loss. And then, of course, you have forest fires, which can wipe out thousands of acres in a flash. This conflict isn't just about the environment, it's also deeply, deeply human. This quote here, it comes from a case study on a massive dam project in India called the Sardar Sarovar Project. As this dam was being built, it displaced thousands of tribal people whose entire lives were tied to the river and the forests there. They lost their homes, their way of life, their connection to the land. And this quote just forces us to ask a really tough question. Who truly pays the price for development? So this brings us to a real turning point in our story. After seeing the causes and the human cost, we have to look at the consequences, and maybe more importantly, explore how we can start fighting back for nature. Honestly, the price of losing our forests is just staggering. It causes direct economic loss, sure, but the indirect costs are even bigger. When we destroy a forest, we destroy the homes of countless species, leading to a huge loss of biodiversity. We disrupt weather patterns, which can mean less rain and more extreme temperatures. Without this tree roots holding the earth together, soil erosion speeds up, causing landslides. And with the ground unable to soak up water, the frequency and severity of floods goes way up. We are essentially breaking the planet's life support systems. But here's the good news. There is a path forward. This slide lays out the playbook pretty perfectly. The solutions are concrete and they're actionable. Number 1, plant more trees. Simple. 2, use less wood for fuel. 3, use modern tech to fight pests and fires. 4, manage grazing. And then steps 5 and 6 are so important. Educate the public and actually enforce the laws we already have. It's a full court press. Okay, so we've seen the problem and we've seen the potential solutions. Now, for the final chapter of our story, a festival of hope. This is where we see how community action can make all the difference in the world.
Let me introduce you to something called Van Mahotsav. It literally translates to the Festival of Forests. It's an annual week-long celebration in India that is all about planting trees. It's a nationwide movement that's designed to encourage afforestation, that's the process of planting trees, and to spread awareness about why conservation is so critical.
The history of this festival is actually really interesting. The idea was first brought up way back in 1947, right as India was on the verge of independence. By 1950, it was an official national event, and the timing, that first week of July, was chosen very, very strategically. It lines up perfectly with the start of the monsoon rains, which gives all those newly planted saplings the best possible chance to survive. It's a simple idea, just brilliantly executed.
The importance of this festival goes so far beyond just the act of putting a little tree in the ground. Every single tree planted contributes to everything we've talked about today. It provides oxygen, conserves soil, secures our water supply, creates wildlife habitats, and helps fight climate change. But there's one more benefit here I really want to highlight: human well-being. Getting out in nature, creating green spaces, it's been proven to improve both our physical and our mental health. So this festival is an investment in the planet, for sure, but it's also an investment in ourselves.
You see, the story of our forest isn't over. It's a story that we are all a part of, and it's one that we are all writing together every single day. Van Mahotsav is a powerful reminder that our survival really does depend on forests, and that every tree planted is a promise. It's a gift to future generations. So as we end this, the question isn't just for them. It's for all of us. What step will you take?